Now, I think everyone has a type of girl they're interested in. Like for me, for example, I like blondes. I don't know why, but for some reason, they just seem more appealing. I don't know if that's because I have already black hair, but overall, everyone has a certain type of girl they're interested in. And for me, well, I'm not gonna lie, I like blondes, but also gingers, and I can explain why. This story all takes place back when I was in high school, and this was my grade 9 year. Now, in grade 9, I was a pretty simple guy. I didn't really care for girls, to be honest, as much, but one thing was for sure was that girls were kind of getting into my life since I started hitting puberty, and this has been happening since grade 6. Even now to this day, I'm still interested in girls, which makes sense because I'm a straight guy. But going on with the story, I remember it got to a point where one time when I was walking down the school hallway in my grade 9 year, I ended up running into one of my buddies. Now, this buddy of mine, he was just an ordinary friend of mine that I really just enjoyed hanging out with, to be honest, and he was kind of always there for me in a way because he was the only guy that wouldn't really pick on me since I had a really weird mustache growing up. Yeah, since I'm like half Persian, I guess growing hair on my body is like a normal thing. Like, look how much hair on my arm I have. Imagine that being here. It was the most insane thing ever. But going on, I remember he was talking to me about some girl that ended up entering our school and that she was literally a monster. I didn't know what he meant by this, to be honest, because I thought all girls were kind of monsters in their own way. Hell, even guys are monsters as well. But my buddy kept telling me, bro, like this girl, she's like seriously like a demon straight from hell, and she came up to destroy us all. I ended up asking him why, and then that's when he ended up grabbing my wrist and dragging me to the classroom that she was in. And when I looked at her, I realized that it was just a girl with red hair and freckles on her face. She was actually kind of cute, but at the same time, I don't know, I never really were interested in red-haired girls, to be honest, or gingers, as you guys may call them. I don't know, comment down below what you guys think of gingers, but for me specifically, I never really thought too much about them. Well, like I said, I never really saw one till that day. Going on though, I remember he kept telling me the warning that I should always remember, and that was, if you ever talk to a ginger, she will literally destroy your life. How? Is what I asked him, and that's when he said, Bubba, just trust me, bro. I know what I'm talking about, okay? I've been through the ringer with some of these girls, and they're all monsters, and they're all insane. Okay, relax. I'm not gonna talk to the ginger girl in our school, is what I told him. After that day, I remember I ended up going home that night, and I actually ended up going on the Devil's Hub, and ended up searching up what in the world were so crazy about gingers. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I ended up enjoying myself beating my schmeat that night, or my eggplant, I should say. YouTube, please don't demonetize this video. I swear this is all for entertainment purposes and also educational. But going on, I remember the next day when I got to school, I ended up sitting down in my science classroom and I was next to my buddy. And that's when he says, yo, Bubba, can I borrow your phone for a sec? For some reason, the Wi-Fi isn't connecting on mine. Yeah, sure, here. I ended up giving him my phone, and it was the worst mistake ever because he ended up clicking on Safari, and I forgot to use the incognito tabs on the internet. And yeah, he ended up seeing my search result. When he saw my search result, he ended up being like, are you doing research on the ginger? What? No, I was just, never mind. Give my phone back. And I ended up taking my phone and I ended up deleting the tabs. Luckily, I didn't see too much other than the loading screen and what the title said on top of it, which was really kind of weird. And I can't really say what it was. But other than that, I'm not gonna lie, it got really, really bad. Because I remember the next minute afterwards, my buddy kept telling me, Bubba, I'm telling you, just stay away from the ginger girl, okay? I get you're a horn dog, but you gotta just stay away from her. Okay, chill out. I will. I'm not going near her. It's done. Simple as that. Okay, Bubba, if you say so. And then at that moment, I basically promised my friend to not talk to her. I want to say it became lunchtime afterwards. And when the bell rang, I went downstairs for lunch since it was mac and cheese day. And if you guys don't know, I love mac and cheese. It was like my favorite food growing up, and it still kind of is. Second place is grilled cheese, funny enough. I remember as I was in line, I ended up seeing a girl come up behind me and say, oh, sorry, excuse me. Oh yeah, no problem. And at that moment, I saw it was the ginger girl. The girl that had red hair. At that moment, I kind of just tried to avoid eye contact with her and stuff. And she noticed I was acting kind of weird. To the point where she looks at me and she's like, is everything all right? You're acting kind of strange. Huh? No, I'm good. I'm just, you know, getting mac and cheese day. Yeah, we love mac and cheese day, don't we? Yeah, mac and cheese day is cool and all, I guess. Yeah, anyways, I gotta go. And in that moment, I ended up walking away and actually going to sit with my buddy. My buddy looks at me, he's like, what's wrong with you? You just look like you just saw a ghost. Wait a second. Did you see her? No. I didn't talk to her. I mean, like, she spoke to me, but like, I said like 2 words back and I ran away. Bubba, be careful, man. I'm telling you, they can smell it on you. Smell what? You'll see. At that moment, I didn't really know what he meant by you'll see, but to be honest, I didn't really want to. At that moment, I ended up eating my mac and cheese in the cafeteria. And then afterwards, I realized that I'm not really good at ingesting dairy. Like, for some reason, anytime I eat some sort of milk product, I ended up having to use the bathroom really badly. So at that moment, I ended up getting up right after I finished eating, and I ran straight to the bathroom. I'm not joking. I actually full on sprinted down the school hallway as if I was some kind of crazy guy. When I sprinted down the hallway, I ended up running to the bathroom. And when I got there, I sat down on the toilet and I released the biggest poop of all time. Now, I know this is kind of TMI, to be honest, and I'm kind of saying way more than I should, but trust me, it's a part of the storyline. You'll understand. Because after I took the fattest dump of my life after eating that mac and cheese, I ended up walking out of the bathroom and I ended up running into her. If you guys are wondering who, it was the ginger girl. She looks at me and she's like, oh, hey, aren't you late for class? Oh, wait, did the bell ring? I didn't even notice. Yeah, I'm heading over to biology. Are you also in my biology class? I'm not sure. Let me see. I ended up looking at her school schedule since she was the new girl and she didn't really know where anything was. And at that moment, I realized she actually was a part of my biology class. So me and her ended up walking together down the hallway. And I remember it got to a point as we were walking down the hallway together. You guys know how in every classroom, there's like kind of like a window that like shows like the hallway basically. So teachers can be aware of what's happening outside the classroom. Well, basically my buddy ended up looking out there and he ended up seeing that I was with her. Yeah. He got really upset to the point where he literally ends up looking at me and he ends up running out of his classroom without even letting the teacher know he was doing this. And he runs up to me saying, stay away from him. We don't want your demon sucking souls in here. Dude, what are you doing? Is what I said to him. And that's when he started explaining to me how I should stay away from her still. And how I basically broke my promise. At that moment, I ended up telling him how he was in my biology class. But then afterwards, he said, Bubba, trust me, this girl's not to be trusted. And what's not to be trusted about me? Well, you're ginger, obviously. Okay, Bubba, can we just go to class? Seriously, he's being weird. At that moment, I didn't know who to listen to. My friend that I made in grade 9 or the ginger girl that was actually kind of hot, but at the same time, she was ginger. I don't know. I ended up basically just saying that I'd rather just walk by myself, and I walked alone going back to my classroom as everyone else basically dispersed to go back to their classes, which was kind of awkward because me and this girl had the same class, so she was kind of like walking like not that far from me because we were entering the same room, but not the point. I want to say that night ended up being the most weirdest night though, because when I got home after school that day, I ended up settling all my things down, hopped on my Xbox and started playing Call of Duty with the boys. And obviously I did play Call of Duty with the one guy that, you know, kept warning me about the ginger girl. And I remember as we were playing games together, I ended up going on my phone and I saw I got a follow on IG. When I saw I got a follow, I was wondering by who, because well, at this time I wasn't popular on the internet or popular in any way, to be honest. In the popularity food chain, I was like ranked like maybe like 134 out of everyone in my school, which was not really good position to be in, but I mean, hey, still top 200, even though there was only 800 students, but still it was something. And I remember when I saw who followed me, it was the ginger girl that followed me on Instagram. Now, when I saw this, I was like, okay. And I ended up looking at her profile and she sent me a message request. Now, I usually check all my message requests, by the way, on Instagram. So if you guys want to follow me, go right ahead. But I remember when I saw this Instagram message request, I ended up answering it. And it was basically her saying, I have a question. Honestly, I think you're kind of cute. Do you want to like maybe like hang out sometime? And that's when I ended up muting my mic on Xbox. And I decided to answer her saying yes. I don't know what it was with me that day, but for some reason, I just felt tempted to talk to this girl. Because I guess when you're told to not do something so many times, chances are you're ending up doing it. It sounds like a really bad thing, but it's human nature to just do things that we're not supposed to do. And also it made us evolve to what we are today, which is also a crazy concept, but you know, not the point. Once again, going on with the story. I remember me and her scheduled a date the next day after school. And when I got to school the next day, my buddy, for some reason, was watching me like a hawk. He said it was really suspicious how I ended up muting my mic that night and not talking to him for the rest of the night. And to be fair, he was right, because me and this girl that was the ginger girl just kept texting on and on and on. So he would see me online on Instagram, but he would literally not be able to talk to me over Xbox. So the next day, it led him to watching me like a hawk. And it was really awkward because anywhere I would go, he would know instantly. It got to a point where he was even sending photos of me and putting the caption under them, I'm watching you, Bubba, which was also really creepy. I don't know. To be honest, I didn't know what was his problem, but I remember when it finally came to after school, I ended up hiding out in the men's locker room, and I ended up telling the girl to meet me at the outside entrance of the men's locker room that takes you to the football field. We ended up meeting there. We ended up going from the back exit from our school, and me and her ended up going for coffee, and it was actually a really good time. She kept talking to me about, you know, her previous school life and how she wants to get into video games, but she doesn't really know how to. And for some reason, she was basically saying all the right things. And honestly, it kind of made me happy, which is very odd because making me happy is not that difficult, especially if you can cook. But this girl wasn't even doing any of that. She was just being super relatable. I think she was maybe putting up a facade, but at the same time, I wasn't complaining, because right after the coffee date, me and her, we ended up actually going back to her place. And she had a single mother that was also ginger. And when we got to her place, her mom was very inviting. She let me hang out in her room. And well, for some reason, the only rule in the house was that we had to leave the door open, but she ended up closing it anyways and locking it. She told me to sit down on her bed, and it led to her and me doing the devil's tango. It was honestly super crazy. And honestly, if you're listening to this story right now, don't do what I do. Seriously, it's not a good idea, okay? All these stories lead to crazy trouble, because I remember after we ended up doing the devil's tango, her ginger mom ends up knocking on the door saying, "Kids, what are you guys doing in there?" Nothing. Yeah, we're not doing anything, mom. Leave us alone. And somehow, in some way, this mom ended up opening the door even though it was locked. I thought it was magic, but she opened the door and said, "Okay, you need to leave and get off my daughter, and honey, you're grounded." Ugh, mom, how many times have I told you not to do this? And the most awkward part was that her head was around my eggplant area at this time. I think you guys can kind of take a guess what I'm saying here. It was literally insane, because after that day, no joke, I couldn't stop thinking about her. For some reason, like, what she did was like so amazing to me, and the way we did the devil's tango, it like was literally stuck to my mind for like weeks on end. And I kept messaging her to hang out, but for some reason she would never answer me back, until I realized that she got with someone on the football team. I'm not gonna lie, once it got to our grade 12 year, she ended up actually exchanging schools, because apparently she was passed along the entire football team and the whole school knew about it. And I guess she was called the ginger sucker. But if you guys enjoyed the video and want to watch more, click on one of the videos on screen right now and subscribe for more embarrassing stories just like this one. Peace out, guys.